Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm Rafael and I'm here to review episode 6 of Drag Race España. But before we get to that, I just wanted to make a quick announcement on something I've seen in the news play out in Spain of somebody who was killed over there. His name goes by Samuel Lewis and he was 24 and he was attacked and killed by a bunch of homophobic people, and just reading the whole story was just so heartbreaking. He was 24. And supposedly, from what I read, was that he was outside of a nightclub and he was on the phone or something with his friend. And a bunch of people thought that, oh, he was recording them or making fun of them or something. And they just decided to attack him. And they attacked him so badly while yelling homophobic slurs that he ended up dying from his injuries. And it's very disturbing how stuff like this still happens in 2021, and it's just like my heart goes out for his family, and I just hope some type of justice comes out of this, because nobody should be going through this. Nobody should be having to worry or look behind their back every 5 seconds, let alone he was probably out there at the club looking for a good time and having fun, and I'm sure that this was not on his agenda. And it's just disgusting. I mean, if you don't like something, just leave people alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, if you want to be a homophobe, go away. You know, there's no reason to attack somebody. Why? Because you're insecure. Like, we all know you probably have a bunch of demons in your closet, and you want to go and attack somebody else for what? Let alone kill them. I hope the cops in Spain brings justice or some type of justice. I know there can only be so much justice when a life is gone, but I hope that they manage to find whoever did this, or cameras recorded something, you know? Rest in peace, Samuel. For everybody over there, just always keep a lookout, or just anywhere in general, just please keep a lookout. I mean, I know everybody wants to go out and have fun, but you always have to have that little bit extra precaution just in case some fucking idiots want to attack you or whatever, you know? So with that, I know it was a lot to start off this review with, but you know, it has to be mentioned. With that being said, I'm gonna move on to the review of episode 6 of Drag Race España. So the queens come into the workroom right after Hugacio's sad elimination, and all the queens are discussing like, oh my god, this is really it. And I'm shocked too. I'm like, wow, this is really top 5. Like, we really started off with 10 queens, I believe, right? And now we're down to 5. Well, technically 4 by the end of this review. Did y'all hear that there's gonna be a Drag Race Italia? I mean, they already announced judges, and there's a little promo and everything with the Coliseum for the logo. So I thought that's cute. I'm like, wow, like Drag Race is really expanding. And then they come into the workroom the next day, and Supreme eventually comes out, and Supreme looks so good in that pink/purple sparkly outfit that he had on, that pink suit. That's very cute on him. That's very nice color. I love that color on him. So he comes out and he starts motioning that, you know, oh, they're gonna be doing some fisting, and I'm just like, wait, what kind of challenge is this? And I completely forgot about the puppets. And that's one of my favorite challenges too, because it's so fun to see how shady they can get to recreate the puppets to look like the certain queens. And these puppets did not look like the queens. I mean, besides Sagittaria's puppet, the other queens' puppets are like, who the hell is that? Sagittaria ended up getting Poopy. Poopy ended up getting Dovima. Dovima ended up getting Sagittaria, and Carmen reached into the hole and she pulled out her puppet. She's like, who the hell is this? Because I was looking at that puppet too. I'm like, who exactly is this? Who's blonde in this group and who looks like this? I mean, last time I checked, Killer Queen didn't have that mustache across his face, but all right. And Killer Queen ends up choosing Carmen's puppet. So all the queens drag up their puppets, and Sagittaria is the first one to go, and she kind of just bombs the challenge, but I still thought it was a little funny. I mean, it wasn't awkward, so that's the good thing. It wasn't cringy, you know, when you get secondhand embarrassment for somebody who's bombing a challenge. She tried to do the best that she could, but it wasn't landing, and I think she got too in her head about what joke to say. But yeah, Sagittaria, this wasn't the best. And then Dovima goes up and she starts off hilarious too, like, oh, I'm Sagittaria, S-A-G, oh, I don't remember because I'm dumb. But then she also freezes and she says, oh, you know, we were roommates and I know a lot of Sagittaria's secrets, and I'm just not gonna low blow her and throw that out there for embarrassing her. Okay, so what else can we use here? And again, just like I mentioned last time in my last review, that Sagittaria and Dovima came into this competition, I thought, with some type of issue. Remember from the first episode, Dovima did not like her, and it seemed like they were gonna have a beef all through the season. And now it's just like, oh, we're best friends, and I don't want to low blow her. I just kind of wish we would have seen where that would have went. with that storyline of both of them having an issue because they never explain what the issue is, and we'll probably never get an answer from that. And Poopy went up with Dovima's puppet, and she made fun of the whole, oh, she walked slow motion on the runway. So she's like, yeah, I'm coming. I'm going, give me 1 second. So I thought that whole bit was hilarious. Then Killer Queen goes out, and this shit was so hilarious. The way she tried to get the puppet to do a reveal of the outfit, and then she decapitated the puppet, and her reaction was priceless. Killer Queen was just looking like, the entire time. And Carmen, I love the way she reacted to it as if it was a voodoo doll, and whatever the puppet was doing, she was feeling it physically, so she was all on the floor. All the queens were laughing, and Supreme was also enjoying it too, so this was cute. Then Carmen is the last one to do it with Killer Queen's puppet, and hers was the best one, I think, in my opinion. Her shit was so funny too, the way she kept saying, oh yeah, Killer Queen just comes out dressed in a bunch of shit, and sometimes when she goes to restaurants, people think that she's the coat hanger. And I'm glad that the queens got to laugh at themselves and didn't take anything too personal. It seemed like everybody had fun with this mini challenge. It was cute. So with all of that being out the way, Supreme announces that the main challenge is gonna be a roast specifically for the judges. So each queen is gonna have to do a monologue, a stand-up basically, one by one, insulting the judges in a playful way. Then Carmen ends up winning the mini challenge, and because of that, she gets to choose the order of who goes first, second, last, and so on. So if I was Carmen, I would have just sabotaged everybody right then and there. And is it me, or did it seem that the queens did not know who the guest judge, Susie Carmelo, was? They were like, oh, okay, yay, we don't know who the fuck that is, but yay. All the queens are in the workroom, and they're working on their jokes and their roast and what they're gonna say in front of the judges. And Sagittaria is just really in her head. She's just like, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know what to say. And it's funny that she feels that way because I thought she was funny during the Snatch Game. So I wonder what the issue is here. I mean, aren't all of them okay with being shady to each other? Like, just be shady towards the judges. But I guess it's different when it's a comedy stand-up. Carmen sees it too that, yeah, Sagittaria is just not funny. She's all beautiful, but she has nothing else besides that. And I'm like, damn, bitch. Like, weren't y'all friends? And everybody's also afraid of going after Poopy in the order of who's going first and who's going so on. Because they know that Poopy is funny and the judges are gonna laugh at whatever they say. And they might not laugh at your jokes right after. I just wish that a queen would at some point use this advantage and just fuck everything up. Like, oh yeah, you don't want to be behind Poopy? Well, I'm gonna put you there anyway, just to get certain queens eliminated. But I know none of the queens have the heart to do that. So then after jotting down some notes and some jokes, the queens have to meet one-on-one with Supreme and her guest, Bryce. And they have to give them advice on, okay, well, you're doing this wrong, you're fucking this up, this is not funny, blah, blah, blah. And Dovima goes up first, and her problem is, it's a thin line between mean and shady and funny, and it's just like, really, sis? I mean, that's a problem for you? You were kind of extra shady last episode with Hugasio, so I'm surprised that this is hard for you. If you deliver the joke in a not so serious type of way, maybe it'll come out funny, but if you just go right into the gut like that, and yeah, that's gonna cause problems because then it's gonna cause tension and awkwardness because it's like, okay, that's how you really feel about me, bitch? Sagittaria continues to be kind of a train wreck and just doesn't really know what to do. Like, she's just very wordy, and it's just like, oh my god, Sagittaria, like, get it together. I really do think that it's probably because it's top 5 and they're nitpicking at everything, and maybe that's why she's so in her head because she has came off confident the entire season. Even in some of the challenges where comedy had to be used, she was good in that. So it's crazy to see Sagittaria kind of break down a little bit with the pressure being on. Killer Queen, of course, being the sweetheart, is just like, I know my name is Killer Queen, but I'm not really a killer. Like, I'm just really nice and I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, you know? And you can also tell when Supreme is not amused or does not like anything. Supreme is all in her face. It's like, So their advice for her is just to play up a different character. Okay, you don't have to be Killer Queen. You could just pretend to be another character who's shady and can roast the hell out of the judges. Poopy speaks for herself. Again, she's hilarious. There's no really issue with that. Or, oh, you don't really need help. You kind of got this. And then Carmen, Carmen brings out her Harry Potter book and is like, oh, this is gonna be my intro. No, bitch, that looks like the whole Twilight series on one page. And they're like, no, you're gonna lose us right away because that's a long ass intro. She initially wanted to go first in the challenge, but they're like, you shouldn't go first because nobody's really gonna be really laughing like that at first. So you should put somebody who's gonna do good at first and then put yourself second. So again, Carmen, if I was you, I would just fuck up everybody. I would just put Dovima first, Sagataria second. No, I would put Dovima first, Poopy second, and then Sagataria, and then you, and then end it with Killer Queen. That way it could be a huge train wreck pile up before you, and then when they get to you, it's funny. So all the queens go back into the workroom, and Carmen lets them all know, this is the order that I chose. Supreme and Bryce kind of influenced me on how to choose, and this is what I went with. And you can tell that even after Carmen announced the order that the queens were still a little shooketh because they're like, oh, we don't know how we're gonna do with this. We don't know how this is gonna be. Like, how is this gonna play out? Then it's roasting time and Supreme comes down the runway looking like a beautiful broken mirror. And I love this outfit. I love all the pieces to it. I love that everything was so sparkly and all the lights were reflecting perfectly on it. And shout out to Anna Locking because she looked beautiful as well. Like with her hair in that ponytail and that purple outfit, she looked very pretty and radiant in the judges table. And up first was Killer Queen, and I thought she was the perfect way of opening up the entire segment. She did her joke, she did her roast. She roasted all the judges, but she did it respectfully, and it was funny. All the judges enjoyed it. I really do think that her going first really helped her because the judges really didn't know what to expect. So whatever came out of her mouth for the most part was funny to the judges. And when she told Supreme, oh, you needed a TV show to learn how to brush your wig, I'm like, oh. I mean, if I was Supreme, I would have been like, wait, stop the whole show. You're going in the bottom too, bitch. So up next is Carmen, and Carmen just, oh my God, I know I said it a million times throughout this entire season, but damn, Carmen looks beautiful. She just looks so good. I mean, she's going for this beautiful model type character who's now a TV host, but she's kind of dumb and ditzy, and I think it worked in her advantage. I mean, I really didn't see much of the dumbness, but I loved her delivery on all the jokes, especially that joke about the hobbies being everywhere. Because I did read that there's like an inside joke, or people get annoyed sometimes that the hobbies are just constantly on TV somewhere in Spain, just everywhere. I mean, you close your eyes and they're there. You wake up, they're there. It's like no matter where you are, if you say the hobbies 3 times in a row, they're gonna appear right in front of you. Carmen came out beautiful. She came out witty with her jokes. Everything about it landed perfectly, and I think she did an amazing job. Then it's Sagittarius' turn, and this is where shit started getting cringy because I really thought, okay, she got it. She got her nerves together because she came out strong with saying, oh yeah, the judges are here today, but they weren't here, so we have these clowns. I thought that was a good joke, but then she kind of fucked up after that, and it's just kind of wah. Her jokes were just not landing. I think her problem was that she was just going too fast, and she was just too in her head, like, okay, I said this joke, I need to already be thinking about the next joke. She just kept thinking about the next thing. And you know how she has that problem sometimes when she's talking to other queens? I said this in my last review, that she talks too much and she never gets to the point. I think that this was her issue here. She just kept talking all over the place, like, oh yeah, Javier, you know, you were in this show, and yeah, you were in that show too. Oh, but they should have killed you here. But they should have killed you softly. No, but I meant the first season. The 5th season. Yeah, did you find that funny? And it just wasn't landing because she wasn't getting to the point. And then when she did, it's just like, you didn't say it confidently. You were kind of looking down the entire time at the material, and it was just like, yeah, it was just very cringy. Then it's Dovima's turn, and she almost had a slip up like Sagataria, but she was doing well for the most part. All her jokes were landed. I love the way she was doing it, like, oh, a Dear Diary, like a different way of performing the roast. But then the wig started kind of messing up her performance, but she played into it and she didn't really let it fuck up the entire performance. So I'm like, okay, she got this, because the wig was coming down her face and she really couldn't see it, and it was getting kind of annoying for her to like keep flipping it back. But she made it work, and the judges were laughing because they're like, oh, maybe that's part of her shtick. But then towards the end, that's when it started getting a little sloppy, and you could tell that it was kind of bothering her a bit. But I think that she recovered really well with it, and she went really well with the flow of the whole situation, even though the wig was just messing her up at some points. And even through all of that, she still managed to end on a good note with that joke about Carmen being orange when the wig finally stayed attached and she found her glasses. So Dovima did well. It's just she had a little, you know, little spots here and there, somewhere in the middle towards the end where she kind of messed up a bit, but I thought she recovered really well from it. And then it was Poopy Poison's turn to end the show, and surprisingly, I didn't get what I thought I was gonna get from her. I mean, her jokes were just very dry. I really do think it's because the way she delivered it was just so slow and relaxed, like, yeah, Supreme, so your ears, you know, your surgery, ha ha ha. It's so funny, right? Yeah, let me go to the next one. It wasn't giving me the comedy that I usually get from her confessionals or in the workroom. This is just a much more relaxed version of Poopy Poison. She looked pretty too, by the way, in that pink hair and that metallic outfit that she had on. But yeah, this was just kind of dry. And like Killer Queen said, oh, this is a sensitive subject. I don't know if you want to go there. So I think she was right there on the borderline of like being offensive and also being funny with that joke. But yeah, I don't know, this wasn't it. I wasn't a fan of it. For the most part, everybody else got a chuckle out of me, but Poopy Poison, I was just left there like, what? And then it's runway time, and the category is Night of 1,000 Rosalias. The first one to come out on the runway is Dovima Nurmi, and her look was very spot on with Rosalia's MTV Award look. And she looked very, very pretty and beautiful. I love the simplicity in her makeup, and I love the ponytail, but the look was just way too simple. It was way too simple, especially for what the other queens brought. And I'm like, oh, out of all the looks that Rosalia wears, you could have gotten a different one. You know, just like the judges said later on, like, you know, she has some very strong looks, and you went with a very simple, safe look. It wasn't bad. It was very pretty and good, but at the same time, compared to what the other queens brought, this was at the very bottom of the poll. Next up on the runway is Poopy Poison, and she comes out in a look inspired from a music video from Rosalia, and I thought this look was spot on as well. This was beautifully done. It was such a creative way of putting this outfit together from that still shot of the Pienso de tu Mira shot, that Rosalia on the floor with a bunch of weapons at her head and stuff. So this is a very cool take on it, especially all the weapons holding in place. I don't even know how she managed to put that there. I mean, did she super glue it? Did she put some sticky tape on it? How did she do that? I thought that the look was executed, no pun intended, perfectly, because the tracksuit was even the same color, the jewelry, the hair, everything about it was really good. So Poopy Poison, this is a really creative way of putting Rosalia into your runway. Then Carmen comes out in this look that Rosalia wore to the Grammys, and she looks so beautifully put together. And what makes this even better is that she made this in the workroom, because at first she had the same look that Dovima had, the MTV black look that she had on, but she managed to change it, and it was like, I'm gonna go with something else because we're both gonna have the same runway. And she made this, and I don't even know how long it took her to make this, but she made it in a short period of time. And the fact that it came out looking perfect as if she brought this from home, that is very, very impressive. That takes some skills, Carmen. And whoo, she was definitely that bitch on the runway with this look. She's just a very well calculated, smart queen. And the fact that she gave Dovima the MTV Award statue for her to walk with on the runway, that was so, so sweet of her, because again, she had the same look and that's what she was gonna use. And wow, Carmen, it's just like you knew that, okay, by you giving that to somebody else, it's not gonna sabotage you. You're still that confident that you're gonna do well, even if you help other queens. That's just, whoo, Carmen, just give that bitch the crown now. Then Killer Queen comes out in this Vogue shoot that Rosalia did, and I, for the most part, enjoyed that her face was very minimal, as well as Dovima. Her face was just so naturally pretty, because usually her makeup is very kind of extreme or just very colorful all over the place, but here it was just like, yeah, very bare, very minimum, and I really enjoyed that aspect of the look. As for the look itself, I thought it was cute. I think that the snake could have been done a little bit better, because I'm like, wait, what is that? Is that Play-Doh on her head? Or what exactly is that? And then I'm like, oh, after Googling the photo, I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be a snake. But you really couldn't tell it was a snake. It looked like a bunch of silly putty on her head. And maybe she should have chose a different style of shoe. But other than that, the look overall was good. And my favorite part, again, was the makeup. I just love that we could see Killer Queen in a different type of makeup and see her in a more natural, pretty type of way. And then Sagittaria comes out in this look that Rosalia performs in, and this is very impressive, seeing Sagittaria walk down the catwalk with those big ass inch heels. I mean, damn, I was just waiting for her to break her ankle. I'm like, oh my god, you're walking way too fast. And then when she flashed us her nails, that looked really cute too. So the look was really cute overall, and the fact that her high heels were that pointy and that high up, that was even more impressive to see her walk so confidently in it. I mean, damn, I'd be scared. I will say though that Sagittaria's wig was a little crunchy. I mean, it could have been applied a little bit better, because I'm like, oh sis, this wig, it's like, it's straight out of the pack, you know? Then the judges start critiquing, and from this moment on to the very end of this episode is where it becomes a complete telenovela. The tension, the passion, the tears, the emotions, it was everything. I think this is probably one of the best endings to any Drag Race episodes. To me personally, like, I loved it. I love the raw feeling of it. They're critiquing each queen, and Dovima confesses to them that, yeah, Carmen helped me with this outfit. She was gonna give me her own outfit because we brought the same thing, and Carmen made her own outfit, and she gave me this trophy, and, you know, she starts crying and getting emotional because she's like, Carmen has just been such a great friend from the very beginning. Dovima came into this competition with her walls already high up, and she wanted to portray this bitchy character on TV. And I feel like she played that character all the way up until this point where it officially broke her and she couldn't play it anymore because we got a much more softer, emotional side of her that we probably would have wanted to see more of this entire season. And the judges are left in complete shock when Carmen tells them, yeah, I made this outfit because me and Dovima had the same outfit and I wanted to make something new. And they were just so impressed. You could tell that Supreme just wanted to be like, okay, the show's over here. We're crowning her right now. And Anna Locken tells Poopy, oh, I wanted to see a more sophisticated side of you here. I'm like, what? That wasn't the Runway challenge. The challenge specifically was Night of 1,000 Rosalias. And this was a look inspired by Rosalia. So I'm not sure what Anna Locken was getting with that. Like, I get it. But at the same time, Poopy did what the assignment asked for. After all the critiques, all the queens go backstage. And Sagittaria is wondering, I mean, yeah, they thought I was funny sometimes and some of my jokes landed, but not really. And Dovima gets defensive right away, like, why should we have to change who we are? I mean, you casted me the way I am. Why should I have to fit into this mold? And in one case, yes, I get it, but then Carmen makes a good point. Like, you are expected to do things that are outside of your comfort zone that you've never probably done before. And this makes no difference. This is just another challenge that other queens probably feel the same way as you, that, oh, I've never done this, or maybe this is not my strength. But you kind of just got to go with it, and you got to go with the flow of things. And that's something that Dovima struggles with because she's like, oh my God, like, this is something I'm not good at. And then, like she said, her insecurities come out, and then she gets defensive, and she's like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And then that's when her energy kind of like shifts into a negative side. Finally, the queens come back on stage and Carmen ends up winning the challenge, and rightfully so. I mean, it was no secret. It was right there, very obvious that she was gonna win. Killer Queen is safe, and then we get the bottom three, which is Dovima, Poopy Poison, and Sagittaria. And I'm thinking, okay, how are they gonna judge this? And eventually they end up giving Poopy Poison the free pass, and she's safe. And I do think that finally, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they've been doing it all season, but I feel like in this specific situation, they based it off the runway, and her runway was a bit better than Dovima. So that's probably why she was safe. But I mean, if that's the case, why didn't they judge the runway in any other case? But I guess they pick and choose. And then the bottom two is Sagittaria and Dovima. So I'm thinking, okay, how is this gonna play out? Because we've seen Dovima kind of lip sync, and we haven't seen Sagittaria lip sync at all. So I'm like, okay, is she gonna surprise us? And she sure did, because as soon as that song Haute Couture by Rosalia came on, I'm like, wait a minute, because Dovima was just not moving. She refused to lip sync. She stood there like a statue. And Sagittaria was just pulling out all the tricks. I mean, she was like a stripper on fire. I literally had my hands over my mouth like this the entire time because I'm like, Dovima, no, do not go out like this. I mean, I get it. You feel broken inside and stuff, but don't give up. Like, try to keep hanging on in there. At least give us this last lip sync and then you can go home. But damn, she literally just stood there the entire time. And Anna Locken was there like, come on, Charlie, you can do it. Do something, Charlie. But Dovima refused to do anything. And Carmen is just in the background, just a mess. She is just crying. She just cannot control herself. She's moving from right to left to turning around. I mean, I thought she was doing the Macarena for a second. But it was just so emotional seeing that. I'm like, oh, man. But Sagittaria just continued dancing. I'm like, damn, bitch. I mean, she did what she had to do because she was just doing this, that, and the third. She was literally dancing circles around her. The music was just so upbeat, and Sagittaria to be dancing and spinning and doing dips and everything in those huge high heels, like, that's impressive right there. So I just did not expect Sagittaria to have such rhythm to the music, but she actually did well. And then towards the end, she kind of tried to get Dovima to interact with her, and she did for like 2 seconds, but then she stopped and she went back to looking like a statue. And Sagittaria ends up winning the lip sync, and all the judges were crying. I mean, The Javi was just like a mess too. Supreme was just like boo-hooing too. Her eyes were kind of red too. And Carmen was just in the back like, don't even look at me, Dovima. I can't even bear this. Like the whole thing was just a huge, huge telenovela scene. And once the music stops, everybody's just like, okay, whew, let's take a breather. And then Supreme asks Dovima, Dovima, what's with the attitude? What happened? And Dovima's like, look, I'm broken. I got through the challenges as best as I could, but it's just like, I'm ready to leave here. It's like, I'm good. I came in playing this character of being a bitch, and it's just like, I can't play it anymore. And I kind of call it quits now. And it's just like, you see, if she would have just came into this competition, again, like I mentioned, with her defense down just a little bit, getting to know the queens, especially Carmen, maybe she would have been longer in this competition. Maybe she would have went to top 3 or 1. But because she came in playing that character, she wasn't really herself. She just wanted to play up what she thought she wanted to be because she thought she was going to have to come in here and defend herself for some reason. Do y'all think that this was just a cop-out for her to not lip sync because she knew maybe she was going home because she probably wasn't going to perform as good as Sagittaria? Or do y'all genuinely think that she was just like over it and she was ready to go home? I mean, which way? And then after Supreme gathers up her tears and her emotions, she tells Sagittaria, you're safe. And she tells Dovima, Sashay, te vas. And Dovima ends up leaving, and as she's in the workroom, she writes, Carmen, the crown is yours. Because she feels like Carmen's going to win the competition, which, I mean, at this point, I really do think that she's going to win, too. I mean, the writing is on the wall already. But at least Dovima went out looking beautiful. I mean, she was a stunning, beautiful queen. Just has certain insecurities and a bad attitude, as she said, and maybe, again, like I mentioned, if she worked on that and she came in a little bit more free-spirited next time around, like an All-Stars or another season, maybe we could see a much more softer, fun side to her instead of seeing like this bitchy character that she said she played up. And I thought that this was it. Like, next week is the finale, the top 4, that's that. But no, next week we have a makeover challenge. I'm like, wait, so we're going to have a top 3, which I like. I personally like when they have top 3 instead of top 4. I wish we could go back to that format. But yeah, next week we have another challenge, so we shall see how that plays out. But this episode was really good. This episode gave me everything I needed, especially towards the end. I mean, the dramatics, I was getting goosebumps the entire time. I was like a much more relaxed version of what Carmen was backstage when she was seeing the lip sync, because I'm like, wow, this is really playing out the way it is. And I mean, give props to Dovima to literally just standing there for the entire song, because that must have been very uncomfortable and probably awkward to just stand there and have the judges look at you. But that's that, y'all. What did y'all think about this episode? And do y'all think that the bottom 2 was right? Do y'all think that if Dovima would have actually lip synced against Sagittaria, she would have won? Or was it just a cop-out? And who do y'all think is going to win? My bet is on Carmen. I mean, she was my winner from the very beginning, and I'm pretty sure she's going to get the crown, and I hope she does. And I'm very curious to see how these makeover looks go next week. That's that, y'all. Let me know what y'all thought about the episode. Sound off in the comment. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.